What if I told you that every single time you felt God wasn't listening to your prayers, you were actually broadcasting on the wrong spiritual frequency? What if the very thoughts you think right before you sleep tonight will determine whether you wake up tomorrow as a victim or as a victor? What if there's a hidden code in your mind that, once cracked, transforms you from someone who begs for blessings into someone who commands them? What if the difference between those who live in constant struggle and those who walk in supernatural abundance isn't luck, talent, or even faith, but simply knowing how to think with the mind of the Creator? What if everything you've been taught about prayer, prosperity, and purpose has been keeping you trapped in a cage you didn't even know existed? Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you will shake the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about how God operates in your life. For decades, we've been conditioned to believe that prayer is about begging, pleading, and desperately hoping that somehow, someday, heaven might hear our cries. We've been taught to approach the throne of grace as spiritual beggars, hat in hand, hoping for scraps from the Master's table. But that entire paradigm is not only wrong, it's the very thing keeping you from the life of abundance that's rightfully yours as a child of the Most High. The truth that will revolutionize your existence is this: God doesn't respond to desperation. He responds to demonstration. He doesn't respond to pleading. He responds to believing. And most importantly, He doesn't respond to what you say with your mouth when your heart is vibrating with fear, doubt, and desperation. Matthew 17:20 tells us exactly how this works. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Notice Jesus didn't say, "If you beg loud enough," or "if you cry long enough." He said, "If you have faith, if you believe, if you operate from a place of inner knowing rather than outer hoping." Napoleon Hill spent over 20 years studying the minds of the most successful people who ever lived, and he discovered something that the scriptures had been revealing for thousands of years. Your thoughts are things, and they possess actual creative power. Every thought you think sends out a vibration into the universe and attracts with mathematical precision. When you think thoughts of lack, you attract experiences of scarcity. When you think thoughts of fear, you magnetize situations that give you more to be afraid of. But when you learn to think the thoughts of God, when you align your mental frequency with the frequency of divine abundance, you become an irresistible magnet for miracles. Here's what most people don't understand about the mind of God. It never thinks in terms of limitation, only infinite possibility. It never operates from fear, only from love. It never creates from a place of need, only from a place of overflow. And when you learn to think like this, when you train your mind to operate on this higher frequency, you don't just receive blessings, you become a blessing. You don't just experience miracles, you become a miracle worker. You don't just witness supernatural provision, you become a channel through which heaven pours out its abundance onto earth. The Apostle Paul understood this principle perfectly when he wrote in Philippians 4:8, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." This isn't just a nice suggestion for positive thinking. This is a divine formula for accessing the creative power of God through your renewed mind. Every time you choose to focus on what's excellent rather than what's wrong, you're literally rewiring your brain to receive heaven's frequency. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Romans 12:2 gives us the blueprint for total life transformation. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. The word transformed in the original Greek is metamorpho, the same word used to describe what happens when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. It's not just change, it's complete metamorphosis. and it all begins in your mind. Napoleon Hill called this applied faith, and he proved that when you combine burning desire with unwavering belief and consistent action, you create what he termed a state of mind that attracts to you the physical counterpart of what you hold in your mind. This isn't positive thinking. This is the science of faith in action. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with the promises of God, you become an unstoppable force for manifesting His will on earth. Think about this for a moment. If God lives inside you, as 1 Corinthians 3:16 declares, don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? Then the same creative power that spoke galaxies into existence resides within your consciousness right now. The same wisdom that designed DNA and orchestrates the seasons is available to guide your decisions. The same love that sent Jesus to the cross is flowing through your heart this very moment. The question isn't whether you have access to this power. The question is whether you're going to activate it through the renewal of your mind. Every single morning when you wake up, you're handed the most powerful creative tool in the universe, your consciousness. Most people waste this gift by immediately flooding their minds with worry, doubt, and mental replays of yesterday's problems. But what if you understood that the first thoughts you think each day set the spiritual frequency for everything that follows? What if you realize that your morning mindset is literally programming your reality? Jesus demonstrated this principle perfectly when he taught his disciples to pray. Notice he didn't say, "Our Father who art in heaven, please help us get through another day of struggle." He said, "Give us this day our daily bread," speaking as if provision was already assured. He said, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven," declaring heaven's reality over earth's circumstances. He was teaching them to think from the end result, to speak from a place of divine certainty rather than human uncertainty. Napoleon Hill discovered this same principle when he studied Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. These men didn't hope for success. They expected it. They didn't wish for breakthroughs. They prepared for them. They trained their minds to see opportunities where others saw obstacles, to find solutions where others found excuses. Hill called this definite major purpose, but the Bible calls it faith, and both lead to the same destination, the manifestation of seemingly impossible dreams. Here's what I want you to understand with crystal clarity. Your current circumstances are not your final destination. They're simply the result of your past thinking patterns. If you don't like what you're experiencing, you have the power to change it by changing the way you think. Proverbs 23:7 reveals this eternal truth, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." Your heart isn't just the organ that pumps blood. It's the spiritual command center where your deepest beliefs create your external reality. But changing your thinking isn't just about repeating positive affirmations or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about aligning your thoughts with the truth of who God says you are, regardless of what your circumstances are saying. When the bank account says insufficient funds, but God's word says, "My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory," which voice are you going to believe? When the doctor's report says, "incurable," but Isaiah 53:5 says, "By his stripes we are healed," which reality are you going to accept? The enemy of your soul knows that if you ever truly understand the power of your renewed mind, you'll become dangerous to his kingdom of darkness. That's why he works overtime to keep you focused on what's wrong, what's missing, what's impossible. He knows that a mind focused on problems attracts more problems, but a mind focused on God's promises attracts divine solutions. This is why David wrote in Psalm 1, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night." Meditation isn't just an Eastern practice. It's a biblical principle for programming your mind with God's truth. When you meditate on Scripture, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways to think like God thinks. When you dwell on His promises instead of your problems, you're creating new mental habits that automatically attract His blessings. This is why Joshua 1:8 promises, "Keep this book of the law always on your lips, meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful." Napoleon Hill called this autosuggestion, the practice of feeding your subconscious mind with definite positive instructions until it accepts them as reality and begins working to make them manifest in your life. The subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So when you consistently visualize yourself living in God's abundance, your inner computer begins attracting the people, opportunities, and resources needed to make it reality. But here's where most people go wrong. They try to change their external circumstances without first changing their internal environment. They want God to bless their business while their mind is filled with thoughts of failure. They want healing while constantly talking about their sickness. They want prosperity while believing they don't deserve it. It's like trying to receive a radio signal while tuning to the wrong frequency. The signal is there, but you can't hear it because you're not aligned with it. Now, before we go deeper into this life-changing revelation, I want to share something from my heart. If you've made it this far in this message, it's not by accident. You're here because something inside you knows you're meant for more than what you've been experiencing. You're here because your spirit is hungry for truth that actually works, not just religious platitudes that sound nice, but leave you feeling empty. And I want you to know that this community we're building together is different. We're not just consumers of content, we're transformation partners on this journey towards supernatural living. If this message is resonating in your spirit, if you're feeling that stirring inside that says, "This is what I've been searching for," then I want to invite you into this family. Hit that subscribe button, not just to get notifications, but as a declaration that you're ready to leave mediocrity behind and step into the extraordinary life God has prepared for you. And here's what I really want from you. In the comments below, tell me the one area of your life where you're ready to start thinking like God instead of thinking like the world. Don't just read and leave. Engage with this community, because your breakthrough might be in your willingness to be vulnerable and share your heart. And if you know someone who needs to hear this truth, share this message with them. Sometimes God uses us to plant seeds in someone's life at exactly the moment they're ready to grow. Your obedience to share could be the catalyst for someone else's miracle. What I'm about to reveal to you will expose the invisible prison that has been keeping you trapped in cycles of lack, limitation, and spiritual mediocrity. It's called mental conditioning, and it's the most powerful force shaping your reality right now. From the moment you were born, you've been programmed by your family, society, media, and past experiences to believe certain things about yourself, about God, and about what's possible for your life. Most of these beliefs were installed before you had the wisdom to question them, and they've been running your life like software programs ever since. Here's the shocking truth. Most of what you believe about yourself isn't actually true. It's just familiar. You've been told that you come from a poor family, so you believe you're destined for struggle. You've been told that good things don't happen to people like you, so you expect disappointment. You've been told that money is the root of all evil, so you sabotage your own prosperity. These aren't facts. They're mental viruses that have infected your consciousness and are producing corresponding results in your life. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in 2 Corinthians 10:4 and 5, "The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." Notice he calls limiting beliefs strongholds and arguments that must be demolished. This isn't passive waiting for God to do something. This is active warfare, against the lies that have been holding you captive. Let me tell you about Sarah, a 38-year-old nurse who came to understand this principle in a profound way. For years, she had been struggling financially despite working 60-hour weeks. She constantly said things like, "I'll never get ahead," and "money just slips through my fingers." One day, she realized these weren't just casual complaints. They were powerful declarations that were programming her subconscious mind to manifest exactly what she was speaking. She decided to conduct an experiment. For 30 days, she would speak only words of abundance and gratitude, even when her circumstances suggested otherwise. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," she began saying, "I'm choosing to invest my money differently right now." Instead of "I'm always broke," she declared, "I'm learning to manage money wisely and abundance is flowing into my life." Instead of "money is tight," she affirmed, "God is my source, and He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills." At first it felt fake and forced, but something miraculous began to happen. Opportunities she had never noticed before started appearing. A patient mentioned a better paying position at another hospital. A friend invited her to a financial planning workshop that changed her relationship with money. Within 6 months, not only had her income increased by 40%, but her entire mindset about prosperity had been transformed. Sarah's breakthrough wasn't magic. It was the natural result of aligning her thoughts and words with God's truth instead of her circumstances. Proverbs 18:21 declares, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Every word you speak is a seed you're planting in the garden of your future. When you speak defeat, you harvest failure. When you speak faith, you harvest miracles. When you speak poverty, you attract lack. When you speak abundance, you magnetize blessing. Napoleon Hill discovered this principle when he interviewed over 500 successful individuals and found that they all had one thing in common. They had learned to control their self-talk. They refused to speak words of defeat, even in the face of temporary setbacks. They understood that their words weren't just describing reality, they were creating it. Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But he could have added, "And whatever the mouth consistently speaks, the life will eventually experience." This is why Jesus said in Mark 11:23, "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them." Notice he said, "says to this mountain," not thinks about this mountain or hopes this mountain will move. There's supernatural power in spoken words when they're backed by unwavering faith. But here's what most people miss. Faith isn't just believing God can do something, it's believing He will do it, and then speaking and acting as if it's already done. This is what the Bible calls calling those things that are not as though they were. Romans 4:17. When Abraham was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, he didn't have any children and was almost 100 years old. But God changed his name from Abram, which means exalted father, to Abraham, which means father of many nations. Every time someone called his name, they were declaring his destiny, not his current reality. The same principle applies to you right now. What are you calling yourself? What are you declaring over your life? Are you speaking your destiny or your history? Are you confessing God's promises or your problems? Your words are either building the life you want or destroying the life you're meant to have. There's no neutral ground when it comes to the power of spoken words. This transformation requires what I call conscious speaking, where you become intentionally aware of every word that comes out of your mouth. Start paying attention to how you talk about your finances, your relationships, your health, your future. If you catch yourself speaking negatively, immediately correct it. Don't condemn yourself. Just redirect. Say, "I cancel that negative word, and I speak this instead." Then declare what God's word says about your situation. Here's a practical exercise that will change your life if you do it consistently. Every morning, before you check your phone or turn on the news, spend 5 minutes speaking life over your day. Declare that divine appointments are arranged for you, that supernatural favor goes before you, that creative solutions flow through you, that God's abundance surrounds you. Don't just think these things. Speak them out loud with conviction and emotion. Remember, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Romans 10:17. So you need to hear yourself speaking God's truth over your life. Now we arrive at the most crucial moment of this entire message. The point where everything we've discussed transforms from mere information into life-changing revelation. What you're about to discover has the power to shift you from being a victim of circumstances to becoming a creator of circumstances. From someone who reacts to life to someone who designs life. From someone who hopes for miracles to someone who expects them as a natural part of their God-given inheritance. The secret lies in understanding what it truly means to have the mind of Christ. 1 Corinthians 2:16 declares, "But we have the mind of Christ. Not we will have it someday, not we hope to develop it, but we have it right now." The same consciousness that conceived the universe, that transformed water into wine, that raised the dead, that calmed storms with a single word, is available to you in this very moment. The question isn't whether you have access to this power. The question is whether you're going to activate it through belief and aligned action. When Jesus walked the earth, he never operated from a consciousness of lack, fear, or limitation. Even when facing impossible situations, he remained anchored in the reality of heaven rather than the circumstances of earth. When 5,000 people needed to be fed, and there were only 5 loaves and 2 fish, he didn't panic or complain about insufficient resources. He gave thanks for what was available and then distributed it as if there was more than enough. That's thinking with the mind of Christ. Seeing abundance where others see scarcity, solutions where others see problems, possibilities where others see impossibilities. Napoleon Hill spent decades studying this phenomenon and concluded that successful people think differently than unsuccessful people. They don't just have different goals or work harder, they literally process information through a different mental framework. They approach challenges as opportunities, setbacks as setups for comebacks, and obstacles as stepping stones to higher levels. This isn't positive thinking, this is supernatural thinking. It's learning to see with spiritual eyes rather than natural eyes. But here's what most people struggle with. They want to experience supernatural results while maintaining natural thinking patterns. They want God to bless their business while they constantly worry about competition. They want healing while they meditate on symptoms. They want breakthrough while they rehearse their problems. It's like trying to receive AM radio signals while your receiver is tuned to FM. The frequency mismatch makes reception impossible. The transformation begins when you understand that your current reality is not a fixed condition. It's simply the accumulated result of your past thinking patterns. If you don't like what you're experiencing, you have the power to change it by changing the thoughts you consistently think. This isn't about denying negative circumstances. It's about choosing to focus on God's higher reality instead of being hypnotized by temporary conditions. Let me share the story of Marcus, a 45-year-old mechanic who discovered this principle during the darkest period of his life. His auto repair shop was failing, his marriage was crumbling, and his health was deteriorating. Everything he had worked for seemed to be collapsing simultaneously. One night, in desperation, he cried out to God and heard these words in his spirit. "You've been thinking like a victim. Start thinking like a victor." That simple sentence became the catalyst for the greatest transformation of his life. Marcus began studying how successful people think and discovered that they all shared certain mental habits. They focused on solutions rather than problems. They looked for opportunities in every challenge. They spoke words of faith even when circumstances suggested fear. And they made decisions based on their vision of the future, rather than their current reality. He decided to retrain his mind using these principles, spending the first hour of each day reading scripture, visualizing his desired outcomes, and speaking words of faith over his life. The results were nothing short of miraculous. Within 18 months, his business had not only recovered, but expanded to 3 locations. His marriage was restored and stronger than ever. His health returned to optimal levels, but the most remarkable change was in Marcus himself. He had developed what he called supernatural confidence, an inner knowing that no matter what challenges appeared, he had access to divine wisdom and power to overcome them. Marcus's breakthrough illustrates a fundamental spiritual law. When you change your inner world, your outer world automatically changes to match it. This is why Jesus said in Matthew 6:22, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light." He was talking about spiritual vision, the ability to see with the eyes of faith rather than the eyes of fear. This principle is so powerful that Napoleon Hill dedicated an entire chapter to it in Think and Grow Rich, calling it the sixth sense. He described it as that portion of the subconscious mind which has been referred to as the creative imagination, and noted that through this faculty, one automatically receives vibrations from the minds of other men. When you align your consciousness with divine truth, you become sensitive to inspired ideas, divine connections, and supernatural solutions that were always there but previously invisible to your natural mind. The activation of this supernatural thinking requires 3 specific actions that you must implement starting today. First, you must guard your mental diet as carefully as you guard your physical diet. Stop consuming negative news, toxic conversations, and fear-based entertainment that program your mind for failure and limitation. Instead, feed your consciousness with God's Word, inspirational content, and the testimonies of those who have overcome similar challenges. Second, you must practice what I call outcome visualization, spending time each day mentally rehearsing your desired future as if it were already your present reality. See yourself living in divine health, walking in financial abundance, enjoying loving relationships, and fulfilling your God-given purpose. Don't just think about it, experience it emotionally. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the excitement of living your dreams. This isn't fantasy, it's faith training your subconscious mind to recognize and attract the opportunities needed to make your vision manifest. Third, you must speak only words that align with your desired destiny, not your current circumstances. When someone asks how you're doing, instead of reciting your problems, declare your progress. Instead of, "I'm struggling financially," say, "I'm learning to prosper." Instead of, "I can't find a good job," declare, "The perfect opportunity is seeking me." Instead of, "My health is terrible," affirm, "I'm growing stronger every day." This isn't denial, it's declaration. You're not lying about your circumstances, you're speaking your destination. I want to pause here and speak directly to your heart. If you've stayed with me through this entire message, it means something profound is happening inside you. You're not just consuming content, you're receiving revelation. You're not just learning information, you're accessing transformation. And I want you to know that this moment right now is a divine appointment. God orchestrated your presence here because He has something magnificent planned for your life. And this message is part of His preparation process. This community we're building together isn't just about watching videos and gaining knowledge. It's about experiencing real, lasting transformation that impacts every area of your life. If you haven't subscribed yet, I want to personally invite you to join our family by hitting that subscribe button right now. But more than that, I want to hear your story. In the comments below, share with us the biggest revelation you've received from this message and one specific way you're going to apply it starting this week. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to break through their own limitations. And if this message has stirred something deep in your spirit, if you feel like God is calling you to a higher level of thinking and living, then share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we're the instrument God uses to deliver a life-changing message to someone at exactly the right moment. Don't underestimate the power of your obedience to share. What seems like a simple action to you could be the catalyst for someone else's miracle. We've reached the pinnacle of this journey, the place where everything we've discussed converges into one ultimate truth that has the power to revolutionize not just your thinking, but your entire existence. What you're about to understand will separate you from the crowd of ordinary believers and position you among those rare individuals who don't just believe in miracles. They expect them, attract them, and yes, even create them through the power of aligned consciousness. The highest level of spiritual operation is what I call divine collaboration, where you stop seeing yourself as separate from God's power and start recognizing yourself as a conduit through which His infinite creativity flows into the earth. This isn't blasphemy, it's biblical. John 14:12 records Jesus saying, "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father." Greater things. Not just the same things, but greater things. This promise isn't for a select few, it's for whoever believes. When you truly understand this, everything changes. You stop begging God to do something and start partnering with Him to manifest His will on earth. You stop hoping for breakthrough and start expecting it as the natural result of divine collaboration. You stop seeing obstacles as problems and start viewing them as opportunities to demonstrate the supernatural power flowing through your renewed consciousness. Napoleon Hill discovered this principle when he studied the most successful individuals of his era and found that they all operated from what he called a burning desire backed by faith. But what he was really describing was this divine collaboration, where human consciousness aligns so perfectly with divine purpose that manifestation becomes inevitable. These individuals didn't just want success, they expected it because they understood they were co-creating with the infinite intelligence of the universe. This is why Ephesians 3:20 declares, "Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us." Notice it says, according to His power that is at work within us, not according to His power that is at work above us or around us. The power is within you right now, waiting to be activated through faith, released through words, and demonstrated through actions. But here's what separates those who experience this supernatural living from those who only hear about it: consistency. The principles we've discussed aren't magic formulas that work once and then stop. They're spiritual laws that require consistent application to produce consistent results. Just as physical laws like gravity work all the time, spiritual laws like faith work all the time when applied correctly. This means you must make a lifestyle out of supernatural thinking. Every morning, you choose to focus on God's promises rather than your problems. Every conversation, you speak words of faith rather than words of fear. Every decision, you consult divine wisdom rather than human reasoning. Every challenge, you see opportunities rather than obstacles. This isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily discipline that compounds over time to create an extraordinary life. Let me share one final story that illustrates the ultimate potential of what we've been discussing. There was a woman named Grace, a 52-year-old teacher who had spent most of her life accepting mediocrity as normal. She had a modest income, a modest home, modest dreams, and a modest relationship with God. She wasn't unhappy, but she wasn't truly alive either. She was existing, not living. One day, Grace heard a message similar to this one and realized she'd been thinking far too small about God's plans for her life. She made a radical decision to begin thinking and speaking as if she were a daughter of the King of the universe, not just a struggling teacher trying to make ends meet. She began declaring that she was more than a conqueror through Christ who loved her. She started seeing herself as God's chosen vessel to bring transformation to her community. She spoke as if supernatural favor surrounded her like a shield. The transformation was breathtaking. Within 2 years, Grace had written and published a book that became a bestseller. She was invited to speak at conferences around the world. She started a non-profit organization that has now impacted thousands of lives. Her income increased by over 500%, but more importantly, her influence expanded exponentially. She went from being a classroom teacher to being a world changer, not because she gained new skills, but because she activated the supernatural potential that had been dormant within her consciousness. Grace's story isn't unique. It's what happens when someone finally understands and applies the principles of supernatural thinking. She didn't receive special treatment from God. She accessed the same power available to every believer. She simply aligned her thoughts, words, and actions with divine truth consistently enough for that truth to manifest in her external reality. This is your invitation to the same transformation. Right now, in this moment, you stand at a crossroads. You can continue thinking the same thoughts that have produced your current reality, or you can choose to upgrade your consciousness to operate on God's frequency. You can keep speaking words of limitation, or you can begin declaring words of divine possibility. You can remain a victim of circumstances, or you can become a creator of circumstances through divine collaboration. The choice is yours, but I want you to understand the magnitude of what you're choosing. You're not just deciding whether to apply some positive thinking techniques. You're choosing whether to activate the supernatural power that transformed water into wine, multiplied loaves and fish, raised the dead, and conquered the grave. You're choosing whether to think with the mind of Christ or continue thinking with the mind of the world. If you choose transformation, if you choose to step into this supernatural way of thinking and living, then understand that your life will never be the same. The people around you will notice something different about you. Opportunities will begin appearing where none existed before. Solutions will emerge for problems that seemed impossible. Divine connections will manifest at precisely the right moments. Resources will flow from unexpected sources. This isn't fantasy. This is the natural result of aligning your consciousness with divine truth. The time for mediocrity is over. The season of making excuses has ended. The day of stepping into your supernatural inheritance has arrived. You have been equipped with the same mind that conceived the universe. You have been given access to the same power that raised Christ from the dead. You have been authorized to speak with divine authority and act with supernatural confidence. So I leave you with this final charge. Go forth and think like God lives inside you, because He does. Speak like heaven backs your words, because it does. Act like you're more than a conqueror, because you are. Live like you're a child of the Most High, because that's exactly who you are. Your time is now. Your season is here. Your supernatural life begins the moment you choose to think supernatural thoughts. The kingdom of heaven is not a distant place you go to when you die. It's a present reality you access when you think like the King. Welcome to supernatural living. Welcome to thinking with the mind of Christ. Welcome to the extraordinary life that has been waiting for you to finally believe you deserve it.